Hello, everyone. You are watching Valentina Design Universe, a place where you can be inspired by creative people and those people who do exceptional things for a living. Hello, I'm Valentina Cirasole, your host. In this new series called Inspiration From, we will get to know some various people in different arts or trades. Today, my guest is it's an artist and painter. She's a published author and a motivational speaker. Her name is Dorothy Atkins. While Dorothy attended college in San Francisco, she nurtured her creative side of as an artist and a poet. And she described herself as a global citizen as she appreciates different culture around the world. Dorothy hails from a family of tellers and continues to tell her story through her art. She is now retired from a long career in banking. She contends that humanity and art are a continued sense of discovery, and I can say that is very true. So let's welcome Dorothy. Welcome, Dorothy, to the show. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm doing great, and thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Is it very warm where you are?
It actually is. We've had several days of warm, and today not as warm, but it's still lovely, lovely weather.
Yes, we love lovely weather. Absolutely. So I would like the audience to get to know you. At the beginning of your working life, you were not an artist as you are now. What do you like most about being an artist?
I think that in my heart and soul, I've always been some type of an artist. As a child, I always drew and I always wrote stories to go with whatever I was writing or drawing. But it was sort of secret. I didn't do it in front of anyone. It was just my place to go to when I needed to have some quiet time or just to think. Always been kind of a meditative youngster. I would have quiet time a lot. And in my career in the finance, it was totally the opposite of how I truly felt about myself.
Really? How did you feel?
It felt like I had on the wrong pair of shoes on the wrong feet.
Yeah, I can second that because I kind of felt the same at the very beginning of my career.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Right. So, is there any part of being of creating a painting that is the hardest?
I sort of tell my own story, and I bring in a lot of my own experiences and a lot of the stories that I've heard from my family. And I love to people watch. It's a great way to just study forms and study what people are doing without having a conversation. So I always looked at people, looked at my surroundings, and then in my head, I would process how I would draw it or how I would write about it. It wasn't always the exact painting, but it would be something that I thought I was actually seeing. So this is how I operate as an artist.
Yeah.
I'm not in a particular box as an artist.
Exactly.
I paint what I feel.
Exactly.
What makes me feel good.
Well, that's the way it should be. It's your intuitive spirit that gets projected onto your work, the canvas or whatever it is that you decide to express yourself. It's our perception of the surrounding and people and situation, right?
Exactly. It's a great place to be in as you traverse through this life.
Yeah.
At least for me,
Yeah.
it's always been a place that I choose to go no matter how I'm feeling or whatever's going on in my life.
Right.
I can always go to art because I consider that my personal gift.
That is an escape for most of us, people in the creative business. Art is an escape from reality.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Yes, it is.
So living in Silicon Valley impacted your art, or does it have anything to do with your environment?
You know, I meet a lot of artists every day,
Mm-hmm.
and believe it or not, we used to be considered a little sleepy town.
Mm-hmm.
We are full of creative women all over that have all different kinds of genres. And at
Mm-hmm.
one point, most of us have met up in some situation, and
Mm-hmm.
we sort of fed off each other's energy as an artist
Mm-hmm.
and supported each other in this journey. And I think that's especially um, especially a strong place to be for women to support each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't, at least with the women that I came in contact with, it wasn't a competition. It was, we were wanting to see each other become successful.
Well, I think that's what artists are all about, you know. And I also found that small community in America are made of creative people.
Oh,
I
yeah.
found out that it's much more than you can find them in the city. Of course, the city has a different energy, and because cities are so big and large, they might get so spread out you don't get to know a lot of people in depth,
That's
right?
true.
But
That's
in
true.
small community, you get to know special people, and those are the ones that really will support you or will be in your realm, right? Approve and do whatever it is that you do, and have just to support each other, right?
It's such a great feeling to meet another artist who shares a creative bond, and to see what they're doing. We inspire each other.
Exactly.
And I've found such great friendships in art.
Yes, yes, very
It's
true.
opened the door.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So how have you navigated changes in your career and as an artist? Because you had a different working career. You were in banking and you were managers, and it's like in many different trades. How did you navigate this change?
I've always had been one to reinvent myself.
Mm-hmm.
I did that as a youngster. I
Mm-hmm.
would reinvent myself. And I always had a plan B if something didn't work.
Right.
And on my trips to work, I would make notes about what I would rather be doing
Yes.
and what would I do if I was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I wrote those notes for about 20 years on the train back and forth to San Francisco. I would write what I
Wow.
would rather be doing and how would I get there.
Yeah.
Never ever thinking that all of a sudden I'd find myself in that situation as an
Mm-hmm.
artist. But I have a saying that I always tell myself and I tell my other friends:
Mm-hmm.
the moment you begin to act boldly, the
Mm-hmm.
world and the universe acts on your behalf.
Yes, yes, it does respond. That's all you need to do is just say it.
Right. You put it out there and it starts to work. And the
Yes.
only thing about it is you never know exactly when that process is going to happen. You just
Hmm.
need to be ready. And so when change happens, I just reinvent myself.
Exactly. But a lot of that is you planned for 20 years, you dreamed about it, you wrote about it for over 20 years, and then once you were ready, you took action. That's all
It
it's
just,
about, right?
right, started going into that direction, like all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And I started doing double steps to keep up with what was happening to me in the creative world. So it was a journey. It's been fun. It's been a
It's
lot of
fun journey, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And it's when you create art, you have somehow a message, right? In
I do.
message, right? In your art, everybody has a message in their art. What would you like people to think or to feel when they see your art?
Well, first of all, I think that when people see my art, they are able to recognize that it is my art,
Hmm.
that I'm the one that actually drew it.
From where do you think they recognize it's your art? Art.
They've seen my art in art shows or
Hmm.
in, I used to be in high-end boutiques when that was real fashionable.
Hmm.
I was in museum stores, in the gift shops,
Hmm.
and a lot of gallery shows. And people had started to recognize my art. Oh, that's Dorothy's work, or I know her, or I've seen her work before. To me, that's been the greatest compliment ever, is for someone to
Hmm.
say they've recognized my work. And I usually have a subtle message with my paintings.
Hmm.
Very subtle. I'm not going to bang you over the head with it, but it'll be a subtle message that I like to put out there.
So you have like some special recognizable trait to your art, something that, like we said, when we saw or when we see Picasso, we know it's Picasso,
Right.
right? Because of his three eyes and one face and
Yeah.
mouth and eyes all me to the. We know it's Picasso,
Mhm.
right? Unless it's his primordial work, the very, very first work of Picasso was very traditional. And then he changed, and everybody knows that the changes that he had later in his life was what it is today. It's recognizable. So what people recognize in
When
your
I first
painting.
started going more out in the public with my art, it was
Hmm.
more women without faces.
Hmm.
They were without faces. Pretty much all of them were faceless, and they had a movement to them, sort of
Hmm.
a swaying movement to
Hmm.
my figures.
Hmm.
People started to recognize that, oh, that looks like her work, or is that
Hmm.
her work? And that was pretty much how I painted for a long time, with the
Hmm.
faceless women in movement, some very strong, some very pronounced, some very subtle. But it
Hmm.
was always in a moment of how I saw the world and what was influencing me in my environment. So I saw that kind of strong, soft, shy, subtle, out in your face kind of people, and I
But
painted.
why women were faceless? What did that mean to you?
It meant to me that I'm not saying all women. This is just women to me,
Hmm.
without a face. I'm not putting a face on it so you could say it's in this particular group or that particular group. I just wanted it to be the silhouette and the figure of a woman in
Hmm.
movement, and it didn't need a face.
Without any emotional attachment, or that did that mean something particular?
Well, it meant to me
No?
that you can be any of these things.
Any of these? Okay.
Any of these things. You didn't have to be any particular person. You could be any of these things. And so
Okay.
when people looked at it, they saw a personal connection. At
Hmm.
least this is what they've told me,
Hmm.
that they saw a personal connection, or it reminded them of someone else. I had one of my paintings, which was a favorite and still is. It was of women sort of with big hips in a movement where they were sort of bending in motion.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
had a lady come up to me and said, "Oh, you've painted my hips.
Ah,
You've captured my hips." And I thought that was just, I found it very interesting, because that's what she saw in that painting, is that I
okay.
captured her.
Yeah. Well, it was it or not?
I had never seen
No.
the woman
Oh,
before,
okay. Okay. You did
but
not know her.
it was someone I had seen somewhere in my journey that made
Oh,
me
okay.
paint that.
Right. Wow. Incredible. So she recognized her herself in that
She
painting.
did. She did.
So you have one latest series. It's called One Love.
Right.
Does it have a meaning or mean something to you? Or
It does personally to me.
yeah.
I've used art in my life as a way of healing,
Hmm.
and the world got so crazy all of a sudden, it seemed.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
we were just going in all different directions, everyone.
Hmm.
We had so much fear and reservations, and just things were happening in the world, and it just seemed like it was spiraling out of control to me personally.
Hmm.
And that's how I felt. And then I decided to meditate and pull myself in and think about what would make me be able to get through this. How would I get through this personally?
Hmm.
And I realized that not only was I feeling like that, other people probably were too at the same time. So I
Okay.
started calling my new paintings One Love, and I
Hmm.
wanted it to embrace everyone
Hmm.
without saying I'm painting this for this person or that group or this person. I
Hmm.
wanted everyone to just think about one love could mean. It could be your mother, your lover, your children, your
Universal
friend,
love, right?
anything. Yes. And,
Universal love.
and I just
Yeah.
started painting that way, and I gave them
Yeah.
that name, One
Yeah.
Love, and it just sort of stuck with me.
It's very nice series. I like it. I like what you're doing. So every painting of yours have a title, or are they important to you?
When I started doing One Love, I paint so often that I had to leave most of them untitled
Uh-huh.
and just put them in that collection of One Love, because I was painting
Right.
so, I mean, just every day. I paint every day, and I couldn't keep up with trying to name them, so I put them in a series of just One Love, and then had a one woman show with that,
Yeah.
and that worked for me,
Nice.
and it still
Yeah.
does.
Yes. Now, colors, I've noticed you use colors. Obviously, if people paint because of they are attracted by colors.
Right.
Do colors have an effect on your paintings? Do they mean something? The special colors you use, what is it about colors that you
Well, I have
love?
to say that after I met you, Valentina, you gave me a whole different way of thinking about color.
No.
I paint and I'm surrounded by color all the time painting, but I wasn't pulling it into my whole universe, so to speak. I wasn't thinking so much of how to live in full color and maybe dress myself in full color. I hadn't quite evolved in that aspect of the creative part, although I paint in color and
You
they
paint in
all,
color, yes.
I paint in colors, but
Yeah.
I brought it more into a personal thing after I started looking at your work and what you represent and how you decorate. I think about it now, and it just gives me so much joy, and
It
it's so
does.
exciting.
It's all the vibrations that color brings to us.
Yes,
All
absolutely.
the positive, and it doesn't matter what color it is, the vibration are always positive,
It does.
because that's what colors do. They operate on our psyche and our our emotional
Right,
level.
right.
And so if we want to feel good, we use one color. If we want to be energized, we use another color. And many people really don't really think of colors that could be a real effect on us. They just get up and put on whatever they want or do whatever they want with their days without thinking of colors. But we do see colors every day. As soon as we get up, if it's a beautiful day, what do we see? The
Exactly.
yellow of a sun.
And when I paint, it's almost as if my mood dictates what color I'm going to use, or either the color dictates
Exactly.
my mood.
Yes.
I don't know if it's one of, it's like yin and yang. It's
Yes.
one affecting my mood, and then my mood is affecting the color I might choose for the day.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it's so strong to me.
That's very
A
nice.
few years
Yeah.
ago, I don't think I would have explained it that way. I would have said, well, I'm just painting because I want her to have a pink dress on. But now
Right. Right.
it's more intense. And
Intense.
it's
There is a meaning to it.
right. And I
Yeah.
feel it so deeply now, which is
Yeah.
amazing to me. Just amazing.
I love the colors that you have on. They're beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And they are not only spring colors, but they're vibrant at the same time, because I see some orange, at least on this side. I see some orange, and they're safety. They feel
Right.
safe. They're orange that is mixed with the green. It feels safe and protective.
I love it. I'm reinventing myself again through my one love personally and
Very
my
nice.
personal life, and
Yeah.
introducing more colors as well.
Yes. Yeah. So you have a book out that
I
is
do.
called, what is it called? It's a
It's called
poem.
A Heady Scent of Lilac.
Nice. And that's on Amazon, right?
It's on Amazon.
Right. Okay. And so those are just a series of poetry.
It's poetry, and it
Yeah.
also has my paintings inside the book
Okay.
as well.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
the interesting thing about this is when I started to let my hair go gray while I was working, I noticed that the reception toward me was different. People would react differently when they saw gray hair on a woman. And
Why did they act differently?
I went from hi to hello, ma'am.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, I feel totally the same inside.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I'm letting my hair grow gray. And I started writing poetry because I wanted to write that women, no matter what age we are, we still are emotional, and we still feel great love, and we still feel those emotions about someone in your life, and it doesn't die because your hair is turning gray. So it was more or less like an ode to women, mature women. I wrote this for mature women, and the reception has been wonderful.
And then guess what? With gray hair, all the colors look much more vibrant.
They do. They do. So I would tell every woman, and I think a lot of my friends found that out during the lockdown.
Yeah.
That they didn't color their hair, and they said, wow, I'm starting to like that. And so I've embraced it. I've just embraced it. And I went gray when I was about 40 years old. I was prematurely gray, and it just started turning gray. I couldn't dye it fast enough. And I just went with it. I decided, well, I'll reinvent myself and just go with this gray hair. And that's exactly what I did.
Absolutely. Good for you. So we are out of time a little bit. So if you can tell us if you have a website that you want people to go visit.
I do.
Okay.
It's DorothyAtkinsArtist.com.
Okay. Very nice. Okay. So we are out of time. And I just want to, at this point, thank everyone, and thank Dorothy Atkins for being with us, and thank everyone for being here with the artist. And don't let ever anyone stop you doing what you like, what you love, at any place, at any time. So until next episode of Valentina Design Universe, this is Valentina Chirasole, your host, saying peace, love.
And
bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you.